Hello guys, welcome back to another Modivary video. It's been a little while since I last done a Modivary video. This week is going to be a little different for filming. And I do apologise if has to keep making that noise because I'm trying to clear my throat. My throat has been really bunged up recently. I don't know if it's a cold or something else, but I've been really bunged up. So I've been trying to clear my throat, but it's not clearing it very well. Excuse me. So in today's video I want to discuss about certain things, and I also want to discuss about well, apart from running my model trains today, I'm going to be discussing on excuse me. So apart from running model trains today, and also discussing about what you guys think about the modern day mainline trains compared to what they were like predated from the 1980s, the 1990s and the early 2000s and of course the 1960s and all that, before Dr. Beecham decided to privatise everything and sold almost the British Rail network, and then closed them all because he didn't want to keep the upkeep of them open and running for the public. And a lot of railways on the main line got closed, and the barge lines to the main lines got closed during the 1960s to the 1980s, because partially the government and Dr. Beecham decided to close more than half the railway off, and basically the railway went to not to be used, so they just used it and they decided to close them, a whole bunch of them. I mean that the people who travelled on the railways back then, this is well before my time, I'd imagine a few of them preferred to travel by cars at that point, and they wanted to people who would prefer to travel by cars, buses, other things at that point in time. And of course, by the time I was growing up in the around the 90s, mid to late 90s, railways were very different. And by the time early 2000s came around, and they were operated to operating and relied to the the 1975 era from the John Wesley, not Norfolk Wesley. He was one who created the A4s, Flying Scotsman and all that. But John Wesley, who invented the iconic British HST sets. For me, the HSTs are my number one when it goes to my favourite trains. The HSTs will always win. Some people prefer the saying that steam trains were better. They have their own character, being steam trains. I mean, steam trains, they got their own character for their own reason. They are prone to, they were the first in history to break a speed record over just over 100 miles an hour. The first steam train that broke the speed record, and that was Flying Scotsman. City of Truro just beating it slightly over it for 103, but I think the world fastest steam train that's still in recorded history would be the A4 Mallard, or known 4468. Sparhawk was another Mallard set, but she wasn't called Mallard, was it? It's because another Grezzy design A4. And yes, John Wesley is the guy who invented the HSTs. Nova Grezzy is one main Mallard, and Flying Scotsman and Tornado and all that. So, time when John Wesley came around, made the British iconic, loved by many people by the HSTs, and to this day, I think it's the still most popular diesel hybrid train out there. I think it's still being loved by many people, and I'm hoping that the other people which in other countries appreciating the characters as well, because us British people who loved the HSTs from the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, well into the prime of its time for now 65 years, and it's still running strong. 65 years, I mean, it doesn't sound a long time, but it's long enough, especially, you know, you've got the pesto of like Flying Scotsman. It's been around just over 100 years now, and that was put into service, gosh, I can't remember when that was in service, but it was put into service, I think, around a long time ago. When was the Flying Scotsman was put into service?
I found this on the web.
18th of February, the Flying Scotsman no, it's give me a place. Particular thing. Okay, I'll have to re-look it up once I've done my running. So yeah, give me your personal thoughts, guys, to what you think of the modern day mainline trains compared to what they used to be like. As what I would say from my own experience with mainline trains now compared to what they were, you know, since I was growing up as a lad. I think the modern trains now, which are very basic compared to what they used to be like. I mean, HSTs, they're always going to be loved by many people, even me, but because I was growing up in the era during the 90s and early 2000s, I saw the HSTs everywhere. Especially in the 90s and early 2000s, they were dotted around everywhere. You can guarantee you'll see them on parts of between London's King's Cross to London's Paddington to London. What's that name of that other London Pancras? It's London's King's Cross. London. Was it London Central? I can't remember. But there was quite a few areas that the 43s went to, and they went a long way, some of them, stretching themselves out. I reckon they done more than about 2,800 miles. You know, 2.8 million miles around of the UK network. The HSTs, they were travelling all over the place between England, Scotland, Wales. And obviously they did runs to other parts of Scotland, Aberdeen and Leeds, York, Darlington, and all the other regions that the HST's run with. I'm not totally sure where the bogey's gone. It's down there. Right. Okay. Well, obviously I just shared my experience with the love for trains. I think everyone's got their own personal experiences with trains in general, because everyone has got their own experience with the trains. I think the disappointment part of the railway industry now is that since the government decided to sell off more than half our British diesel hybrid trains from the 1970s era, that the HST is what shaped the British railway industry for many years, and because the government to turn the blind eye and just sell them off to another country for their own profit, which really disgusts me, to be honest. But to be fair, I mean, I don't know what the railway is going to turn out like to be in the next 30, 40 years. I don't know if it's going to be a big success railway system with the new trains that are coming out. And apparently they're going to be rebuilt back in the UK again. And we're not going to be relying so much to coming from other countries to get our trains. We are going to gradually start seeing changes in the UK from next year, I think. They're starting talking about next year is going to be the big year for the UK network of the main line. Is going to be usable by many people to run all the trains that used to run. Or certainly in certain circumstances they are going to be running. It's possibly there will be a new version of the HSTs in 2026, I don't know. So they have Tinnery, diesel hybrid engines, they're going to have all sorts mixed up. What's running today? HSTs, and we'll have the cargo pulling the freight, but we'll mainly run the HSTs and a few others along the route. But first thing we need to do is get the trains moving. What's the best way to see the controller's going to work this time around? Well, I'm going to just do what I usually do. Get them connected to the controller. Get the controller operated. And the downside to this control system, in my eyes at least, that the control system, well, with this particular controller, I would say, is that I'm also going to put a warning out for you guys that if you strip wire back and you're underage of my age and you want to strip wire back to revealing the wire inside of the plastic tubing, because they put in like an insulator tubing around the wire to perform the detection of the contacts of the cable. But also the warning is that if you use things like clasp knives during connection to your layout, and you're up to the challenge of connecting the wires to the controller, you guys know, let's remember using black wire on one side, the red wire on the opposite. And sometimes that means that the cables can be a little bit fiddly to tend to, especially if you're not used to dealing with the cable with the controllers. But in my case, I do use cable controllers because using a cable for my own benefit can clarify to things that are not necessarily needed in most situations. But I would personally think, I mean, I've been in my son special needs school over the years. We've been taught quite a lot of things, and one of the things I got taught when I was in school was that I knew how to wire things. It took me, I don't know how many tries I took to get it to the point I have with wiring, with connecting to the track system. It's took me a little while, but I know one cable works with the other. And to put it into simple context, like for someone has it more tricky to understand something than I do. Basically, putting it more simply as what I can do with this, it's to say that if you want to connect your trains or your controller to a digital setup, then you can. But there is a controller I do own. It's digital. I do own a digital controller. I don't use it personally. I know some people prefer using digital consist controllers, which is like non-engagement combi systems, which I own. This is engagement as a combi. Just a little handheld controller. It's very reliable, but this controller, it was only 50 quid for 2 controllers. Alright, so I might get a couple of new ones, one big new one at some point later this year, to get a couple of these, get one big one for the 2 lines for the time being, because I'm not going to use this naff little analog controller I got given in a train set some years back. And yes, it's great to get yourself into the hobby, to have a basic analog control system like this one. It's great to get you into the hobby, but I don't recommend you use it on your dream layout, because you could use it on your dream layout, but in my personal perspective and building my dream layout from how I want it to look, my basic of imaging for my own dream layout is to have, well, you can see it on the floor already, mind all the mess won't be there once all the proper scenery is going to go in. Once the proper scenery goes in, when you've got hills, you've got little roads through the town, and you're going to have fencing, you're going to have semaphore signals up, there's going to be tunnels, there's going to be a little bit of trees and little different types of things. Maybe a stream bed somewhere, and town scene is going to be well, there's going to be a little path beside the station, so where this tunnel's sitting at the moment, underneath this old tunnel of mine is the platform 2, so underneath all that is the other platform, and where the station will be, where it's stuck down to behind the station there's going to be a little footpath, and I want to have the water a little bit somewhere outside of that to make like a little stream bed if I can, and the other side will be the town towards, you know, imaging my own dream heritage line to be the HST heritage line, to replicate like the HSTs used to be operated on main line between Devon and Cornwall, Cardiff Central to London, London to parts of Scotland, all that sort of thing. But I'm not going to replicate it entirely off the main line. I'm tiny imaging it based on the heritage line. So it's going to have some areas that are going to look like the main line in some areas, but I'm making it build as my dream heritage railway. So even though I own nearly 500 00 scale 43 HST sets in many liveries you can think of, and they're going to be dedicated to this layout because it's going to be the HST heritage line. There won't be much running other from those sets. There will be the odd one other set which will be suited for freight, and that'll be 66. There might be a couple of new freight trains to add to that list, but there won't be loads. There won't be loads of freight trains. There'll be like maybe one, maybe two or three. That'll be it. So I have got 3 ready in my list to add to the freight. 66 is the first one I got because she's the biggest and the most strong, powerful one designed for pulling freight. But yeah, mainly this layout is going to be dedicated to the HST sets only. So they're going from Midland, Pullman, Cross Country, East Coast, GNR, Grand Central, Intercity Swallow, the Midland, Pullman, GWR Castle set form. We're going to have Kurzweil on there, the 43 set in the measurement train form, and we're going to have a loads of the odd maybe shunting loco to where they shunt up all the carriages ready for they just pull around on the line. But I have thought about putting a shunting loco to do that, but I don't think it's necessary really to do that because the siders are going to be there for the HST, but its carriages there ready for it. On the sides of the trains I'm going to be collecting this year, there will be more HST to this list for this year. And you're going to see from the grey and white one this year, you're going to see, if I can get my hands on a cross country HST, I will get my hands on one. If not, then I'm going to be getting East Coast, hopefully a Virgin one. I'm hoping also get a Kurzweil set, and I'm also hoping to get, what's that one called? Grand Central. So there'll be a couple of 43s in my list today. For today, it's going to be for this year in general. So cross country, East Coast, Kurzweil, and Grand Central. And of course, I did mention East Coast to start with. Virgin is going to be on my list. I'm not totally sure when I'm going to get that one. I'd like to get the Virgin one as well. So yeah, there's a lot of HSTs I want to collect, and when they're not running, I'm going to store them up on the shelf. They have their own special shelf of 6 shelves for each individual shelves for. So you're going to have East Coast HST on one area of the wall, and you have cross country at the second layer, and then you have in city at the top, and then you have, of course, that's another one to put on my list to buy, and it is the In-City Swallow set as well. So I'm going to have In-City Swallow at the middle, In-City British Rail blue and yellow underneath, and then we're going to have cross country underneath that one, followed by the Midland Pullman HST set, which we do see on mainline because it's a Bellator one. And if you want to see the pictures, I have been capped that one this year because they're being very lucky. And then above that we'll have Virgin, First Great Western, and then we'll have East Coast above it. Then we have First Great Western above that, Kurzweil above that one, and then we'll go to the top, which will be GNR at the top, Grand Central, and then along the other side will be freight trains. So all the HSTs will be along this wall this year on the shelves. So I'm going to mark out where I need to put the shelves in for my sets, which probably cost me a fair bit. I'm going to have to mark out where I want them to be. I'm thinking maybe the first one to be along this part of the wall, and then work my way up, and then along underneath this shelf, underneath this part of the wall in the corner where all my toy boxes sit and all my track on at the moment, is going to be the shelf for my freight trains. So I might have 56, and I have my 66 by Batman, and I'm going to have a 58 by Haljan up there, and I might also have an odd one like a Class 06 or a Class 03 from Batman to do the odd shunting sequence for freight train, maybe. Yeah, that's my plan idea. And if any carriages I have spare or left over, if I don't want to use them anymore, then I can give them away. I do have a few carriages I might not keep. Some people might say, why would you not keep them? Well, to be fair, I'm going to say this now. These old plastic tin box carriages are made from Triang. Originally this was in the old chocolate and custard coloured livery carriage. I painted it up a few months back now. I painted up in the old Virgin livery, and the old Virgin livery used to have black with red ends. Well, black with red ends. So you basically had the black at the two ends of the carriages, then the red stripe in the middle, and it used to fade off just on the edges here, and I kind of sort of replicated it, but I didn't really do it very well because I was rushing a bit of it, because my skills and patience are not very well when it comes to me replicating the old Virgin livery. And I used to have white stripes along the edge of the windows. So yeah, this is basically my experimental carriages. They are trying, but they're not made of metal wheels. They're made of plastic, which means if there's any dirt on them, that will drag around the track, and it will pick up fibres and dirt and all sorts of bits, which would not go well for the trains. So I try to avoid not using plastic wheels on my layout, because I don't want my layout to be filled of messes and constantly keep fighting back all the mess the trains or the carriages leave during operation. So yeah, I'm going to be getting some trains going soon. HSTs are the first ones to up and running today, between InCity, GNER and GWR Castle set as well, 43187 and 43009, I think it was. I haven't worked out what's causing the problem with 43188 as yet, but I'm still working on to find out what's causing that problem. As soon as I can get it sorted, we can get her up and running with her actual train. It's just too much to do. So the Hornby DC controller from a train set, it's alright to get you started, but over time you just don't want to put yourself into having it as long-term basic, not having it long-term basically. If you're dreaming out, it's not worth having something that basic to have on your dream layout. You could if you want to, but it's not really worth it. It's a great way to get you into the hobby for that sort of controller, but over time you want to work your way up to something more advanced like a Gauge Master Combi or the Hornby Select or Hornby E-Link control system, which is operated by a computer with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So you can use things like that if you want to. I don't like the advanced technology with digital systems yet. I'm not that keen on it. I do like the digital ideas with sounds and lighting, and you can switch them all on and off and make sound. And what really adds interesting to me is that one of the digital systems have the advantages of you can make sound and you can put a steam generator in your train. I mean, that in itself is one of my favourite things I think about digital ideas to it. To have a steam generator in some kind to put in your unit, so like it's clagging out loads of black coal coloured smoke coming out the top of the chimney of the train. That would be pretty cool. But I don't know if they make one in dark black colour yet for like a diesel model set. I don't know if they have done that yet. I know they've done it for steam with the white one, but I don't think they've done it in the black for the diesel sets as yet. I think in time they might well do, but right now they haven't done it yet. I think give it time and they will. Well, at least hope they will, because I think that would be quite interesting for a diesel train for either the 43s, 47s, 57s, you can name them. I think that looked pretty awesome on the diesel sets. And some people are going to ask me, how do I service my trains? Two things that I highly recommend if you want to service your models, it's AA or N or T, use track cleaning solution, and you can use EW40 oil. I use this stuff for servicing my models. Everyone has their own methods of using different methods to oil the trains to, you know, stops the worm gear drying up. Then yes, I do recommend oiling your trains. You might have your own method to using different types of oil to use. I use this oil for my trains because it's very lubricant friendly for, I mean, things like bikes and hedge trimmers and all that, and also it can be quite good for cleaning and oil wheels for the car. But I personally think it's quite good as long as you're trying gently to spray it onto your worm gear of your trains. That can be very effective. If you ever use too much, the stuff gets very slidey and very slippery. If you put too much on your engine, on your model of your train, then the whole thing, the whole the drivetrain on the train will be just flying out as it's running around, and it would not be sounding good. So if you use this stuff, be advised to use a little drop and then let it just drip onto the worm gear, and then run it on a low speed for about half an hour, about for both directions for half an hour at slow speed. Not slow, but medium speed. I'll show you what I mean when I get the trains running. Right, and I think the first train we're going to run for this evening is the Intercity 43. It'll be our first train for the evening to run. Some people say, why not run GNER first? Well, I could run GNER first, but I prefer to run Intercity first, and I'll work my way round to the other sets. And before I do run the other sets, I'm going to bring my drink over as well, because I'm quite thirsty today. Oops. Well, I tread on, but didn't sound great. Right, Intercity is off to the side. She's not on the track yet, but I'm going to get on the track. And the first port of call to, before we put her tired train on, it's just to check her motor is working. And she's running like a trooper. The only downside to this is because the controller can be a little bit temperamental, and she is running like a dream. She really is. I'm not gonna say how realistic she looks, but she is stunnable. So I'm gonna show you what I mean in a minute to show you how you're when you're trained, when you're giving it service on your models. Let me just grab my drink first though. Do not want to get dehydrated. Just grab my drink and I'll be back over here. And I'll get some close-up shots as well while she's running. Right. Basically, when I'm here down on the train board, it's basically what you need to do. Just pretend that I already just given my train a service, and she's coming out the sidings to give her a run before she runs down the main line towards from London down to Penzance, and she's going to be basically doing her final run from London's King's Cross down to Penzance, or she came up from Penzance to London Paddington or somewhere, and she's pulling in to platform 2 to Penzance, and she's basically waiting for her turn to run. The best way you can tell she's running smoothly, best way to tell she's running operational smoothly is that you keep them at low speed. And once you got it at low speed, not too slow, but you know, it's about 0.5% power, and you've got all your train on, and she's just coming out of the station, like, just picking all the passengers up from Penzance to see, like, somewhere up country. She was coming out there, and she's putting a high-speed train along to up to London. How fast can a 43 go in real life? Well, if you're into the 43s like I am, you might have done your research on how fast they can move, and they're pretty fast. I mean, I think someone worked it out, that John Wesley worked it out when he built them, that I think their average speed was, back then, was 148 miles per hour, and that was the first in-city 43, which was 43005, I think. Right, let's get her. I can tell if the train's working or not. Simple answer to that question. Not everyone would notice it, but I do. How do you notice something's not working properly on the train? Basically, if you notice something's off with the model of the real life counterpart of the unit, there is ways to notice it. It's not, what do they call it, the most grateful way to see it if something goes wrong with the model. Is it simple tasks, which gives you a simple understanding of a model especially if they're premium models like mine. And some people are going to ask me, how do you manage to get your premium model sets? Well, over the years of my collection of model trains and my love for model sets came from the real things. Without me travelling on the main lines when I was a young lad, I wouldn't have the same inspiration I do now with them, with collecting them, running them, and then collecting my most passionate trains, which are now seen off to one side of us. And there she is. The 1975 BR City HST set, which is one of the first. It broke the speed record of 148 miles per hour with its diesel hybrid engine on board. Which is about 8,500 horsepower engines on board diesel hybrid sets. They kicked out quite a lot of power, and they could cruise at a really good speed too. They're not just designed to go slow either. These sets were designed to kick out quite a lot of power. Now, every model railway enthusiast, to train drivers, to model collectors, they would know what I mean by owning HSTs as part of one of your collections, because without the HSTs, they have special roles for many reasons, not just for, operation of the main line and, line to sets that are really known today, or the trains we know on the main line today, and and while she's going around, I'm going to keep my distance from the controller, and I'm going to let her run around freely without me interfering. And what I'm going to do is try and get some fun out of it as she's going around in the line. I'm going to quickly turn down here. So, this set here is one of the first who brought the speed record of 148 miles per hour between London and I think it was Aberdeen. So it's from London, I can't remember the name of the station, it was Pancras, I think, was it London Pancras to Aberdeen, and it got there in space of 3.5 hours instead of before 8 hours, which the earlier trains couldn't do. So it's quite an incredible machine. I mean, it's been loved by many for many years, me included. But I mean, I remember travelling on these as a kid as well. The HSTs is one of the trains for me to get me hooked more into the trains. Which sounds balmy, but it's true. My love for trains came from these sets. I mean, I remember travelling, as I say, when I was a young lad, and I was travelling on from Cambridge Station, and I used to travel from Cambridge Station to Wellington King's Cross on the First Great Western HST, and we used to travel them quite regularly. I think it was like, I don't know, twice a month or something. We used to go on them, and we used to go up to London King's Cross to do everything. And I didn't think, nearly 30 years later, I did say nearly 30 years later, but I mean, all those years now, I'm studying blood into trains, and on top of that, my most passionate train I can collect now. I used to have to come by, but I thought to collect this one last year because I don't know next time I would be able to get them, and I thought it would be idea, course, it stands out better than the yellow and black one, which doesn't really stand out as much as the blue and yellow one does. This is a Australian performer, as you can see, as she's running around in the layout. The layout is a little bit in between things, but in a metaphorical way, she is a stunning performer. I'm going to stop it there because I don't want to come off the rails while I'm putting this on. But yeah, my love for trains happened when I was a very young lad during the 90s and the early 2000s. And the first ever train set was Tom's the Tank. On the Tom's the Tank plastic train set, it was operated by batteries. So, yeah, nearly 30 years later, I am now so much into trains. Not just for the models, but I mean, my love for trains came from the main line originally, with all the HSTs, and now we've got IATs, we've got the Voyagers, we've got the 150s, to the 158s, to 150s, and universals. So over the years, we owned, well, main lines were owned quite a lot of different trains from different sets. And I think, like, the sad thing about modern trains, I just don't think the modern trains just don't have the same level of characters the HST did. I think the HST all got characters in themselves and they're very nice, because they're virtually individual. And the big companies now, like the other trains, just don't have the same characters as the HST do. It's why I go out into Cornwall to see them all the time. Because Cornwall trains to Penzance routes, they still run the operator of the GWR 43s. They don't run this one very much anymore. Although, if they ever did retire, they'll find a lot that are still running on them. And Cornwall, since the Penzance runs, they should to keep the MCC for that as special occasion, because that might give it some interest in their mind. So, hey, I know they were running this set last year in the summer during the same last year cross country HSTs, and I thought since then I was excited to collect models that I owned in model trains regularly. So I got the BR Intercity, I got Junior, and I also got the Castle set at the moment. So, well, she's my newest collection one. She's one of my favourite, I think. Well, HSTs in general are my favourite trains overall. Even, a lot of people say that and seen my videos of my model sets I own. But, I can't wait until I get a badge put on the platform to make them mark out what layout this is going to be dedicated to. And actually, most people don't know if they've been on my channel long enough what that is going to be dedicated to. It's going to be dedicated to the 43, which HST sets from the 1970s. I mean, you're going to have the yellow one of the HST, so you're going to go 1975, 1976. 1980s, the 1990s, early 2000s, it went up to about 2023, and then we got Kurzweil's left, Midland Foreman's, and the GWR Castle sets. So the Intercity, and then HST, actually there's still enough road to train. He's also from a company called part of the Indian country now. She's still running in India. So she's still got original colours and so far the other country. I'm hoping that one day I'll see the one at the third York before the government decides to try and take advantage of that and sell it to the people. Nothing will surprise me if they do try to do that, because the government's known to do lots of things. I mean, the government had decided to sell off more than 150 extension of the main line from the 80s, and over those years the government, the current government been in power for so long, they basically sold off more than half of the country of the railway to nobody's, because they thought they would get more funding out of that, because they didn't think, you know, close to 30 years or 40 years down the line they're going to need it again, and they never generally need it, because finances have been tighter as they have been for years, and because of finances being so tight, that means that a lot of the But I've traded my HSTs for anything? No, definitely not. See, if I'm tried to version my whole layout, all of them I own, and 3 of them I own. Now this one I've got in my collection with Junior, and yeah, she was going to be on in this video as well, you can see her shortly. She was in the first set of HST I owned, was the First Great Western one. She wasn't. What did I say? She was my second one. No, she was my second one. It was bought in the same year. And, yeah. So, yeah, the first one I ever owned was Junior. Got taken over East Coast, believe it or not. Once I got East Coast, I'll show you the difference. So they're not really massive difference, but the customers are different. So next channel we're going to be doing out is going to be GWR. I was going to show you Junior first, but I don't want to put out all the cards today. Not that I've got loads of carriages for her, I guess. I mean, I have owned her the longest. But yeah, I do own Junior the longest, the oldest of my 43 collection. She is my oldest HST I got in AA form. But yeah, I'm going to slow her down to a stop, or I might just take off the trains altogether, and we'll take a look at the Junior next, which is my first ever HST in AA. So we'll take her off, and we'll take all her carriages off to go with it, and we'll take a look at my first ever AA HST set. If you guys want to see the original first ever HST I owned, look back on my past videos of unboxing. You can see her in her video. You can see her in one of my videos that I reviewed. Part as one of my videos I did as part of one of my unboxings during a couple of years back. And Charlotte was one of those sets. Not Charlotte. GNR was one of my sets that I've got. She was the first ever HST I owned at the time. Since then I've got In City, and now I've got GWR as well. I did have First Great Western as well at one time, of course, but I'm going to get a really new engine set to go on to when I get the carriages to go with it. Should match out with the carriages at least. So that'd be good once we get them together, because that'll be nice. What am I going to do with the GNR? The GNR HST set still going strong, which is good, but needs to be some new trains. Need some new 43s, that's for sure. We need to get a couple of new sets for this year. Not a lot of sets, but there'll be a few to the list. I mean, Cross Country is definitely on my list to get this year if I can find one at a decent price. Or over that, I'm going to have to bid on one when I can get the opportunity for one. So the first thing I'm going to do is to just keep my eyes open for the time being, see if I can find one at a reasonably good price, and then once I get able to have a chance for it, bid on it, hopefully I'll win it, and then review it, unbox it, and show it on camera. And of course, eventually we'll get it running as well. That's when I buy it, of course. That would be the whole plan. Although when I collect my new versions of the HST this year, between East Coast, Junior, First Great Western, and of course Grand Central, and the Kurzweil set. So you're about to see my first ever HST. I don't know how long I can manage to make this, but I'm not going to put that one on first because she'll shoot off down the line if I did that. She's only got the 2-car formation at the moment, but I'm going to get her put her momentarily. I'm just going to put her power car now. She has not had a service yet. She's not had service since spring last year. So I'm going to see if you can see her on camera. Here she comes now. This is GNR. I'll try to get that shot of her. Here she comes. So now in a very dark blue. And I'll get her coming down this side. I'm going to try to keep my hand that way. The reason she is my oldest train since the last 3 years, that she is a stunning reformer. I do love my HST today, so I'm a passionate trainer. I don't say I love them in a romantic way because I can't say that, but you know, HST is my most passionate train out there. As I say every time, but it's true. I'm gonna just move myself over there again because we had a derailment, which probably means that either cables come out somewhere or we had something else getting in the way. So it means something else is going on with the train. I mean, potentially it's nothing to do with the train itself. It's maybe to do with the track being in the way. I'm having a look. Avoid the cable connections because I don't want to touch them. But I'm thinking that maybe it's something to do with the tracks, maybe. And they're connected. My method that I think there's somewhere from behind them. stop it there before we start taking any more problems. There's a strong connection there, which is fine, but I mean, I gotta somehow to get round to whatever is causing this problem. There's a bit of a problem there. And the important things about model rail is when you're connecting your track to get your trains running, that fish plates connect to each other properly, otherwise you run into some issues otherwise, which wouldn't be very good to long when you're running any model with your own L00. It's in N, T or O gauge or T gauge, which is a weird one. But yeah, there's quite a considerable difference, but yeah. So basically, if you run into some problems with model trains, look for the track or controller. Sometimes both of them can be a problem if there is a connection issue with your controller. If it's not a connection issue, then the next best thing, it probably is to do with the connection between your unit of your train, between the connection of the train or with the controller system. And this controller has got faults, however I haven't seen a massive amount of faults with it with this particular unit, because here she comes now, passing through. As I said, she's a stunning performer. She was my oldest 43 I own today, and even to this day she's still my oldest 43 I own. She was just a tree from being fighting horrible infection several years back, and since I had her, I had not very much fault with her at all. The only downfall to this train, it's not to do with the train itself, it's to do with the controller. Because they both benefit to have a decent connection between the controller, but this time so no problems at all with the train itself. But as you just saw, the lost connection to the controller was having some issues. Now I say this a lot, but it's true. Trains, the HSTs in WOA or T are known to have issues because of problems. And sometimes they need strong connections to the core. Whatever level they could be in, they need a strong connection to run, otherwise you could run some issues with your train. And if you have a strong connection with your layout with running your sets, you shouldn't have any issue going both ways. That's the thing. They could run both ways quite happily a lot of the time, unless their engine was failing on the firefighter, they have to go one direction and they have to push it forward this way. Because if the engine fails in the back, they've got to rely on the one front one and not on the back one. It means there's going to be a lot more drag to the set. It means it will be unreliable for other reasons. Which means it won't be so great for big trains. What does that mean for responding to trains that are going to be formative to other people? Well, let's end this video off. Well, let's end this particular train here. And yeah, she is a stunning performer, as I say. Soon enough, she's going to be due for a proper clean over. But I think for now she's doing alright. I don't think she needs any particular attention. have I cleaned her engine since I owned her? I cleaned her up on the inside a couple of times, but I try my best not to go in there because I don't want to damage any of the wires that are in there for picking up for the lights or the instrument systems with the lights, or even with the cab lights they have inside of these sets. So I don't want to put any risk of damaging the 43s, so I'd rather take them into someone who knows what they're doing with them to do the cleanup for me. If I need to go inside to do some changes, I prefer not touched out myself, but I know some people prefer to do it themselves, but I would not take that risk. So I'm going to move the camera again, and we'll set up the castle set next, and then after the castle set we'll present it with freight. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the current situation with the railway system on the main line. Do you like the new trains with the IETs and the, well, very old Voyager sets now? They're predated from the 80s, I think, or maybe late 70s. Not entirely sure on the Voyagers entirely, but I know for the Voyagers are getting on in years too. But I mean, I honestly I don't entirely sure how old they actually are, the Voyagers, but I know they're getting on in years, being that they've done quite a fair amount of mileage, as much as the HST did. Am I going to get a few more carriages for the 43 sets? Well, yes, I am going to get a few more carriages. I need to get 2 more for the castle set, at least 6 more for the Intercity, but we'll go into that a little later on. So yeah, disconnect those sets. Here comes the castle set, and again another beauty of a set. As I say, my love for 43s are, and she's just disconnected to her train. Brilliant. Why she left her rear lights on the train car, I don't know. About to find out, I guess. It might to be do with the connections. And maybe she just got short-circuited with the controller. How good did she look? Well, once she got her up to reasonably good speed, she's going pretty quick. How fast can the 43 go now? They were doing? Well, the castle sets between Plymouth Penzance run, they can still do about 110 miles an hour. If engines people are doing it. I think most of the time they could go above that most of the time, but it depends if they're running late or not. If the guys are running late to do stuff, I mean, they might push them to about 120 miles an hour if they're capable. This one is, yeah, I would say she's my most noisiest model for her own. You might see on the main line 43s in 00, you might see her, well, the full-size thing in real life. You'll see her when she comes into like Bodmin Parkway station with her train. Those headlights on the front are super strong. They're not like what do they call them? They're not like the Intercity 43s. They're not like those sort of lights. They're really old-fashioned halogen bulbs, which were sort of orangey. They're not like that. They're very much not like that sort of lights. They're not really pretty outdated to the point they're not pretty suitable to modern trains. But I mean, the freight trains are one of those sort of trains where they are pretty new, but the downside to that is that the modern trains, I would say, especially for the freight trains, the freight trains with their headlights, I would say that the downside to those sets are their lights. Because their lights are pretty outdated for the trains that they pull now. I mean, the freight train should not be running with old-fashioned halogen lamps. They should have proper LED lights, which means it'll be more suitable for when the winter periods where it's really dark really early, and if it's bad weather, you can have extended lights to use in extreme weather conditions, so you can have a fog light somewhere down on the side of the main lights, just to use them when you're working on the line. Why is she disconnecting again? How fast the freight trains can go? Well, funny enough that you say that, because the freight trains on main line, putting cargo or whatnot, they can move pretty quick. They can move pretty quick. I think average they can go about 60-ish miles an hour. That's the average of what they can do. But sometimes they can do above 60. They can do around about 90 miles an hour at times. But they can even go faster than that if they really wanted to. I mean, they never do really, but I'm sure in certain situations they'll probably do rather than go a bit faster than they were using to. There she goes, she's coming on now with her train. And this is the GWR parcel set. I'm going to let her run with the train for a bit of time. Does she feel satisfied to run? Well, I would say 43 years old always feel satisfied to run anything they want. But I mean, the freight train's going to have an opportunity tonight as well. I'm going to give this one a short time running for a short time, and now I'm going to switch her over to the freight. Let's just see if she can manage to run at all today. I'm not going to put a heavy load of freight on her. And let's see if she runs. That's my main priority today for her back to the train. Just to see if we can get the 66 on the right and the heavy load wagons on her. So, yeah, any messages to people who say, oh, they want to follow the train, you know, how trains weren't really working in the way that what they are now. Of course, trains are, the old trains are not the same as the modern ones, because, you know, safety standards now are far higher in the road. For safety inspections, but they have to be checked before they can run on the main line. But I kind of understand it at the same time, because you think about it, you know, there's people in the world that, you know, never think to. You know, you have people coming along and, you know, trespassing on the railway, and you know, people trying to, you know, vandalise the railway. I mean, I heard it on the announcement last week where some person decided to trespass on the railway at Newton Abbot last weekend. I mean, I don't know if they ever got caught, But I mean, that's just the point of understanding that people do stupid things all the time on railways and not taking into consideration how dangerous the railways can be on main lines, because in some parts of the UK, I mean, Cornwall and Devon don't really have that fast trains in comparison of, say, like between London and Scotland. London and Scotland are the most fast direct trains they have, and I think they had a top speed on the main line between London and Scotland was over 295 miles per hour, which compared to our train looks like they're moving like a snail's pace, which is just to show how much parts of the UK network are, I guess, more advanced with high-speed trains compared to down here are not as advanced with those sets, which is pretty crazy, but it's what it is, isn't it? You can't always guarantee things are going to go anyone's way because of it. But anyway, let's get to the freight train now. I did have some problems with this one last week that she keep cutting out, and at one point she keep derailing. So whatever that derailment problem was causing, I'm hoping it doesn't occur today. I'm hoping that we'll get 2 or 3 laps of her in. Now I'm just giving her a nudge because I think she's either gone to sleep or her engine's seized. There she goes. Now she sounds pretty smooth. I adjusted a few of the corners, and the downside to that is that the railway does not always take control of every model. Oops. What's wrong with the freight train? Well, she is my newest freight train I own, actually. 66105. I never seen her in real life. I never seen 66105 ever. I'm pretty sure in some parts of the UK she is around somewhere, but she's an international train. She's made by I think it's part Canada, I think, or Canadian part units of this, and it's certainly part American 66. And they had the nickname Sheds because of the design. And I know some people seem to like that name for this particular train. I mean, they have their own quirks about the names, I guess, but it's odd to give them the name Sheds to them. And that's the downside to about this particular train. She often derails. Not in a good way either. Kind of annoying. I was going to connect her up to her train today, but the thing, it keeps derailing. That was causing it, really. I don't really think she's got a flywheel issue, but I think it's because of a wheel issue, to be honest. I might have to look into her wheels. It might be the wheels are causing the main problem. Wheels might be a little bit too high, and they're overbearing with the steering, and they just derail, which is not very good during running, because you won't over express your points properly. And when the bogey turns and the back wheel starts to go, then you've got your problem of on the outside as well. But she is a runner. She's a very smooth runner too. What's causing the derailment, I do not know. I don't know if it's a bogey issue, or I don't know if it's the track is causing that problem because it flips up the front wheel and it derails the back sets all the time. I don't get it myself, but it seems to be a regular problem on this particular unit. But no other train I own causes that problem. I mean, she's not the most heaviest trains. The 43s are definitely heavier now, but it seems to be a regular problem. Maybe do you need to do a tight radius for her? Or maybe she needs to adjust to this track because obviously she's not used to having longer torque underneath for a long time. And my last layer was made out of, well, the board was covered in newspapers for the scenery, but this time I got cork laid down, which is much more different than laying down wet newspaper on this track. So she may have not adjusted to that system. And once the track has been pinned down, I think she'll appreciate that more because it means that she'll have less worried things falling off. And obviously I think that's the main problem of my freight train, is that the track does not always stay still, and that might be causing part of the problems of the 66 overheating or the controller dysfunctions, because there's not a strong enough connection between the units. Can you use any other connection to your 66? I mean, you can, and I have done it. Do I recommend it? I mean, if you're willing to really fight for what you want out of your trains, depending on what you want from it, I mean, you can own a 66 in any livery you could think of, between EWS, First Got Rail, Freightliner. You can have any livery you think of in 66 form, and I'll tell you what's the problem. I can see part of the problem by it's the connection between the connection of the, when the train's running, there's a bit of faulty connection between the train and when the coupling is on the train itself. Now that might be causing the bogies not to connect properly, but I'm not going to put the 43s on there to test it out, but I know for a fact the 43s are running fine. Now the freight trains I own, and it's to do with the connections. It's not to do with the problem of what I got. It's to do with the coupling on this particular train. I have found this out because when I've run my 66 before, she did not have this problem before, and every time I put a coupling on her in recent times, she does not want to play ball with it. And why? I don't know. But the 66 by Batman in my train form, she is a DB Cargo set, which I see quite regularly every Thursday, generally speaking. I see one of these sets going from Pod to Exeter Riverside, and she runs pulling the tankers. And some people say, well, yeah, a lot of people say, well, you often see the tanker ones quite a lot. It's true, we do see them on quite a regular basis, but I know mainly because they get signal to move when they got the space and the time for it. Because obviously freight trains need to be operated during the time of, say, like the London Pantons or the cross country services from Penzance to Aberdeen, because the freights are designed for heavy load, power hauled cars. They're not designed for splash passenger. That's what the HSCs are for, and of course the IETs. But I hope you guys enjoyed this little running session of the HSTs, and it was a short one. But yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this anyway, and until next time, guys, from Brandon's Model Trains and Real Train YouTube channel, I hope you guys have a great evening, and catch you guys in the next video, which I don't think there will be another video now until, I don't think I've got anything more exciting videos for you until Thursday, I think now. I'm not sure if I'm filming tomorrow yet. I did consider taking tomorrow off and focus on other things tomorrow, but we'll see. I'll see how I feel tomorrow. If I decide to film tomorrow, then I will film tomorrow. But yeah, as I say, I will see. Until potentially tomorrow, have a great evening, guys. Have a great day, and peace out.